Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and here I'm going to show off my scores from the swap meet at the Desert Scale Classic 19 that we had here in Phoenix, Arizona, and hosted by the Cactus Car Modelers, of which I am a member. But yeah, I spent a good chunk of the time, being there early, seeing them set up and everything there, and got plenty of time to go through and many times actually go through and pick up a kit here and a kit there. And I had some in mind that I was keeping my eye open for, but most of these I was not looking for. One of them that was on my list was this 97 Corvette Coupe. Not really a rare kit or a desirable kit, but I didn't have one and I kind of wanted that body style coupe. I just want a coupe, convertible, and the hardtop, which is the Z06. I did build the 04 Z06, and I wanted this 97 coupe, and just don't see too many of these coupes around, but I did want that specific kit, so that one was on my radar. So I'll show these off, and of course they were handing out these Micromark catalogs, and I was giving Jeff a little bit of grief about it because he gave them out at the club meeting right before, and then handing them out at the show too. So I was teasing him about it. So it was a bit of a running joke. And also, I didn't have this issue, but considering it's a $13.99 retail price, but it was at the show for $10 from one of my friends. Dan had it, so I grabbed it, and I'll have to open it and go through it, especially this Yanko or Baldwin Motion car that this is probably. I'm not really sure. It's got the L88 hood on it, but I'm not sure if it's supposed to represent a Baldwin Motion or a Yanko or Nikki or Dana. I'm not really sure, but I'm real curious about this particular one. But I'll get this open and start reading it. But $10 was like, oh, I gotta get that. And then a lot of this is kind of the same way. Stuff I was kind of not really looking for, but had in mind. And so I'll show you. This one, it's actually not really for me, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. A friend of mine, Scotty, is really into Rancheros, and I saw it at the club there, or at the meeting there, and it was up at the top, so I snapped a photo of it and said, hey, I know you like Rancheros, does this one interest you? And so I had to check it out, and it's a 67 Ranchero, and I understand this is a mini exotics from Jerry Chevalier, and I'm not really sure how recent this one was cast, but the guy, he had $30 on it, but he had already told me $25. So it's got a couple interesting things in here. One is it's got a bench seat and bucket seats, so it's got both of those. Of course, the door panels that you need. And it's got this, which is interesting because it's the rear window plug, but it's molded in as well, so I don't really know why that's in there. Of course, tailgate, rear bumper. You got a couple of hoods, both warped a little bit, but might be able to straighten them out. But flat hood and performance hood, or not sure exactly what hood that is. There's a GT front end, which I'm not really sure there was a Rancho GT, but there might have been. I don't know my Rancheros that well. Then taillights, shock towers, horn. So it's all pretty much there, but ended up getting this for him for $20. So hopefully he can make good use out of it, and it works out for him. But I'll grab that for him. Wasn't planning that for me. So some of these others, I'll get to some of these other ones a little later, but like this one, open box, but it's falling apart, but it's all there, and the inner bag is sealed. Decals are in here, look a little old, but should be fine. But looking forward to building this one, box stock, just another one to my Corvette collection. So it's kind of funny because I recently went through and counted that I got pretty much like 45 unbuilt Corvette kits. So I got this one. This one was the same kind of thing, and this one was $10 right here. So you know, kind of a steal. Can't even get that shipped to me for that. So couldn't pass that up. And this is the same thing. I was on the hunt for this particular kit and just put the word out to some of my friends. And Scotty, same guy for this one. Me and him have been kind of friends for a while, and a great guy. But he had one. He said, "You know what? I've got you covered." So he sold me his. But it's a really nice kit, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. So I didn't really need another one. But there's so much nice stuff in here, and it's got a good body and all the parts, and some Moroso valve covers that are in here, and a blower, and there's just all kinds of really good stuff. Both exhaust systems. But looked it over real quick, it was all in there. And for $12, you know, the box is kind of faded. Don't really care about the box. But for $12, I'm like, I gotta have that. So I grabbed that one. Another one that really didn't have my eye out for. I actually have one of these. So I have one of these, and I'm going to build it as the SS, of course. And I got the Ray's Kids decals to do the 30th anniversary SS version. So I have the kit and I have the decals, and it's a nice kit. Now this kit was only issued the one time in '97, and it's turned into somewhat of a rare kit. One of my subscribers wanted to know about building this car. He has one. He did not know about this kit, but to my surprise, it's gotten quite valuable. So I see people asking $75 on eBay. Seen them sell for 50 or 60 recently. That's not what I paid for my first kit, but even this one, I saw it for 12 bucks and checked it out. It's complete. It was open, but all the parts are there. Well, this bag was open. The other bag was not opened. Everything's in there. Decals are in there and everything. So for $12, I grabbed it. And the funny part is I had entertained the idea of, if I get another one of these, I would like to kit bash it into a convertible SS. I like my convertibles, but finding this kit is kind of hard. So when I found this kit, I'm like, all right, cool. I gotta go through the stash and keep looking around and see if anybody's got a convertible. So here's one. Now there's a couple of different versions of the convertible kit. This one's the '97 30th anniversary, which is what I wanted to build, the 30th anniversary SS, not just the Z28. So this has all the convertible parts. It should kit bash real easily with this kit, which I intend to do. Wheels, spoiler, hood, different, but it's all pretty much in there. And I remember seeing some of these at Midway Chevrolet when I worked there, when they had come out. And we actually had one of these that had a LT4 and a 6-speed manual in it, which was very rare in the Camaro, but some of them did have that. And I remember that particular car, they had it on a showroom. But my friend Harold, he had the $20 sticker on it, which I teased him about because on the shelf it's this way and it looked like 18. So I was teasing him about, you know, that looks like 18 to me. So he let me have it for 18. But so pick this one up and this one up. But this was multiple passes through. It's like I had seen this one, but not right away in my first pass. But then one of the times wandering through, I seen it. And so I grabbed these two. So I got kind of a project there. These are kind of the same thing. There was a gentleman there that was selling off a bunch of sealed kits from way back. And I had this one as a kid. Back when this exact box and everything. He had 3 different ones of these little coffins. And this is the 1985 issue. I still have the wheels. I believe I've still got the engine. Now the tires I had actually used on one of my other 32 Fords 5-window. And I've shown that. Actually, it's 32 Ford sedan. I'll throw a photo up right now so you can see. But I still had the tires from this kit. And I know I have the engine. But what I remember most was building this skeleton. But he didn't last very long. I played with him a lot as a teenager. Like, I don't know, I think I maybe been 10, 12 at the time when I did this. And this broke. And I believe I still got the skull in my parts stash, but I don't have much. But that's what I remember is this skeleton. This was a really strange car to me, but this I remember the most, and I really liked these tires, and they worked out great, and just didn't have any others, but saved those. But same thing, sealed kit. Hopefully it's in great shape, but this was $15 purchase. This was the same thing, another $15 purchase, same generation, and I built it. That's kind of funny there. $8, you know, was at one time, but it still got the price tag on it. But, you know, 85 issue, same kit series. And I built this one as a kid as well. And I just remember I put it together. I really didn't paint much of anything. I brush painted that black, brush painted the whole interior tan, and then the tan back here. And I liked how it came out. I put these decals on. I remember these decals were a little bit trouble for me. They eventually were starting to peel off, but it was molded in color, and that's what I loved about a lot of these kits back then, was they were molded in color. You didn't have to paint them. So, you know, a lot of my earliest builds were molded in color and brush painted just some of the details, and really liked it. And I remember my headlights fogged too from the glue. But I know I had these wheels. I don't know if I still have them, and some of the parts, but this was a trip down memory lane as well. So for another $15, I grabbed this one. So those were some of those scores. Now, some of you sharp-eyed were noticing these. And you know I like my vintage kits and my rebuilders. This one, I saw it fairly early on, saw the box, and it was one of those, I have a 69 Impala SS kit. So I have the kit. And I noticed this box is very nice. My box is not as nice as this one. But I saw it sitting there. And then the seller, he had tape and he just put price tags. I saw the $15 and I had to ask him, I'm like, what's up with this 69 Impala SS? He goes, well, it's a $15 kit. It's not complete. I'm like, what do you mean it's not complete? I'm looking at it thinking the box is worth 15 with, you know, if there's nothing in it. He goes, well, it's missing some parts. I'm like, all right. I take the box and I take a quick look in there. I see a body and I'm like, okay, that's worth it. I just take a real quick look at it. And yeah, I see the SS emblems on it. I'm like, okay, it's the 69 body. And there's a lot of, you know, markings as far as the decals and everything. So there's a lot of pencil marks on here. And then the pillars are kind of tweaked and bent. And these can be really difficult to try and straighten. I've been kind of successful on some, not so successful on others. But it has this, the interior tub, of course the chassis. So those parts are in here. The stock hubcaps and custom wheels. No front and rear bumper, no hood. None of the engine parts are in here, but the seats are in there. One's kind of broken away from the other, but it's a clean brake. And it's got all of these, you know, decals and some of the custom parts in there. So for $15, I'm like, I can't go wrong with this. And I know I have a resin Model Haas front end for this, because my other kit had one. I bought a second one, and I was half tempted to try and kit bash and do a hideaway headlight grill with it, even though that's not correct for an SS, but it was for Caprice. The hideaway headlights on this car I think are really cool, but not really correct if I want to do an SS. So for $15, I grabbed this. I just could not pass it up. So that one didn't last very long. These two, it's kind of funny. I didn't see the boxes right away, because when the seller was selling these, he had the boxes here and he had the cars on top. But it's just kind of funny. It's a 67 Impala, and then it's just this Cougar. And this one's a 64 T-Bird, but it's a 68 Cougar. But I love my Cougars. So these, now neither one of them are mint. I've kind of been through them, looking them over. This is a 67 Cougar AMT annual kit. Only issued the one time in its stock form. This one has all the emblems. It's been painted and stripped. I don't know why. It seems like a lot of these I've seen are green. I've had two other 67 Cougars and they were green as well. Very popular color. Hood's there. Hinges are broken. This part's here. has the interior. Although this one, I put the 67 interior back in it because it has the chrome gauges, which I know the 67 kit has. But this 67 interior was actually in the 68 kit in that box. So there's the original chassis, got some custom wheels, but seller also had Model Haas front bumper, Model Haas rear bumper and taillights, and the engine, 3 of the stock wheels, which these 67 wheels don't excite me. The firewall, the engine, the exhaust, the main parts here. This rear valance is in here. The front valance that goes up in there is still there. It's got the steering wheel. There's the 67 Cougar steering wheel. The firewall and a lot of the other components. So this thing is pretty complete. The broken parts are here. It's even got the mirrors, which aren't really correct. And it's got some parts in there, but there's a lot of parts. There's a shifter. So this one is fairly complete. So I took some glances at it and I'm like, okay, let's see. And then this other one, this is the 68. Now, as I mentioned, Cougars are kind of a weakness for me. You've noticed a lot of builds on my channel. So this one's same thing. Model Haas rear bumper and taillights. Model Haas front bumper. So there's brand new fresh chrome. There's the body. It's the GT body. It's been painted blue and stripped. But all of the emblems are here. The hood, and it's got the whole 68 interior in it. And it's got the custom steering wheel, some of the custom parts applied to the interior, but the seats are there. And so we'll see on that. This glass actually looks good, where that one, the back window's broken. But this glass is from another kit, because in the roof, the sections are glued in there. So those are in there. Has a later 69 Cougar chassis, but it's the molded in brown, which I believe is from the XR7. It may also be from one of the Eliminators. Actually, with the way this is cast here, I'm pretty sure this is one of the Eliminator kits. But I just have to really brush up and look, because I don't quite remember specifically off the top of my head at the moment. But for me, I want to make a Cougar XR7, well, not really XR7, the GTE, the 427 GTE version. And you got to add some moldings to the body here, change the grille, and add a scoop to the hood. So that one I want to do, but I have a pretty much almost mint kit, but now I've got this one to do it on. So here's my other 68 Cougar. So that's the main one I really wanted to look at. Now in here, I looked it over real quickly to show. There's the FE engine. It's also got a set of these, which those are not the original 68 wheels, but they're the Cougar Traeger style wheels, which these are really cool. But these are in the AMT 428 CJ kit, and I'll throw a box art of that. So it's got a full set of those, which I really like those wheels on this Cougar. And then same thing, you know, looked in here and made sure that was in there. That's the rear valance, and then the front valance are in here, because these seem to be like one of the hardest parts to find. Now this one's got a lot of glue and stuff on it, but I think it can be stripped and sanded out. I may have another one of these, not really sure. But there, the radiator support is broken away right here. But it's got a lot of the parts, but doesn't have everything. The exhaust and some of the other stuff isn't in here. But the critical parts are mostly in here. It doesn't have the stock steering wheel. But as I mentioned, I've got a couple of other Cougars. So when I saw these and I was looking them over briefly, and I'm like, these are nice rebuilders. And here's what he was asking: 55 with parts, you know, each. So I offered him 100 for the pair, and he took it. So, and I didn't really need these, but it's just, I love my Cougars. So really wanted this one, but I'm glad I picked up both, because after really looking them over, I realized the 68 tub was in the 67's stuff and vice versa. So I'm glad I picked both of them up. And then I'll be able to go through my other 67, and whatever the best parts are, I'll build one for sure out of the best one. But I've been kind of itching to do the 67. Um, kind of was thinking about a light blue for that one, but that's kind of what's going on with that. So I had to grab these, and so I'm glad I did. And some of the other ones were just kind of like that kit, like this kit, wanted to grab them. So, but just kept going through and picking up more kits here and there. You know, when you got a lot of time to kill and you start browsing, like this was one of the last ones I bought. This was the first one I bought, but this one, I saw him pull it out, put it on the table, and then putting the pricing on. I'm like, what's going on with this one? So, um, just the box alone to me is worth it. But you know, we'll see. My other kit, I remember it being mint and not really missing anything, but I'll pull it out and compare it. But it's just buried. But anyway, this is all the the stuff that I had scored there, and just had a really good time. Even though some of it didn't necessarily need, but you know how that goes. You may not need it, but you want it. And that's what some of these are. And those will be for me just a trip down memory lane. Go ahead and build those and kind of enjoy them and just take my time, which is some of those builds. That's what I do. Get one that I just feel like doing. And this I got to get to my friend Scotty next time we get together, or I'll mail it to him. Not really sure, but we'll see what happens. But that's kind of enough for me rambling on and sharing some of my scores and everything. So you guys, thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and all of your comments. I really do appreciate it. And check the link in the video description below for our sponsors and everything, Hobby Nut Models, and even Scale Finishes Paint. There's a link for that with a coupon code and everything. But check them both out. And Hobby Nut Models, he's putting some more of the vintage kits, or I won't want to say vintage kits, but the kits that aren't available, he's got a bunch of those, and he's putting them up on his website. So check out his website for the latest uploads, which he may only have one or two. So if he's got that and it's a kit you've been dreaming about, you might want to jump on it. But thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and everything. I really do appreciate it. You guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday. Well, I start to play with some of these. I'm going to open some of these sealed kits to see what I actually got, but I'll do that another time. So guys, you have a great weekend, and I will see you again.